Hey guys, it's Justine here from I Should Read That, and today I'm going to bring you my December TBR slash a list of current reads. I am in the middle of 6 books right now. I've been in this kind of like crazy year-end wanting to read everything under the sun mood. So I am in the middle of a ton of books, and because I usually tend to read about 8 to 10 books a month, this takes up most of my December reading. So I have 6 books, and I am going to go ahead and fill in the rest of the slots in this TBR with just really whatever the hell I feel like reading, because the end of the year is a really funny time for me because I'm either desperately trying to catch up on stuff that I didn't end up reading during the actual year, or I am trying to get ahead with books for next year, or I'm just in a crazy mood of wanting to read whatever the hell I want and not actually sticking to a TBR or anything, or I'm so busy with the holidays that I just don't read. So I'm gonna leave myself a little bit more wiggle room than I usually do in my TBRs, so really this is kind of a current reads video. So as I say, I have 6 books here, and they are quite a variety of things. They're all sci-fi or fantasy books. I have gotten back to reading sci-fi, which I'm really happy about, and I'm hoping that this is a trend that continues on into the new year because I love sci-fi, but I just haven't been reading a lot of it lately. And I've got a good mix of YA and adult books here. Some of them are backlist titles, some of them are new releases, some of them are upcoming releases. So it's a good variety of things that I have here. I'm really excited to read all of these books. So I have 3 kind of main books that I'm focusing on at the moment. They're the ones that are getting a little bit more of my attention than the others, and the others will kind of get that attention once these are done with. But these are all ones that I think would be kind of easier reads, or I've just gotten really into them, or I've been reading them maybe for a little bit longer than some of the others, so I'm a little bit further on. So the very first one that I have is The Toll by Neal Shusterman. I read Thunderhead in November, which you will be able to see in my November wrap-up when I get around to filming it. And I really enjoyed Thunderhead. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, whereas Scythe I probably gave 2.5 stars. I love the concept of Scythe, but I hated the 2 main characters. I still hate one of the main characters, but I've warmed to the other. So I decided to go ahead and finish off the series. I'm actually listening to this on audiobook because I also listened to Thunderhead on audio. And oh god, how far am I? I'm probably about 30% in at this point. I don't actually know where I am in this. I haven't bothered to check, but I'm really enjoying this so far. It is very different than the first 2 books in a lot of ways that I won't go into because spoilers, but I am enjoying it. I think that the second book is probably going to be my favorite of the series. This is not a favorite series of mine in any way, shape, or form, but I do like these books and they're really fun reads. So I'm very much looking forward to finishing up the Arc of the Side series. The next book that I'm really focusing on is Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Nian. This is the Fairy Loot edition. So this showed up in November of 2018, if I recall correctly, and it's been sitting on my shelf for ages despite the fact that I've been really wanting to read it forever. This has been in a 5-star predictions video, it's been on multiple TBR videos, I've just never gotten around to it, and I started it maybe in October, I think, and got maybe 50 pages in and just wasn't feeling it. So I went ahead, picked it up again because I didn't want to DNF this one, and I am much further now. So I am 180 pages into this, which is, I think, just over halfway. I am enjoying this a lot. I think that the beginning was a little bit slow for me and felt there's something about it that I just couldn't quite connect with, which is terrible because she's being torn from her family. Maybe I'm a terrible person, but I couldn't quite get into this initially, but now that she's at court and kind of things are happening and she's building friendships and relationships and there's this ever-present sense of danger, I am enjoying it much more. So this is one that I am probably going to be finishing up this week, hopefully. And the next book that I am kind of dedicating a little bit more time to is Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. This is the sequel to Skyward, which came out last year, which I really loved. And I was sent a review copy of this book, which I was not expecting, and I was completely thrilled to open up that package. And I basically started on this right away. So I am on page, I think I'm like 150 something. 154 pages into this book, so I'm not quite halfway, but I'm getting close. And this is the book that I've been bringing with me to work and on the bus and everything. But I think I'm going to dedicate some time to this over the weekend and kind of when I'm working from home during lunch and immediately after work and stuff, because I find it's very, very easy to just pick up a book and set it aside when I have to start working again. I'm really enjoying this. It feels very different already from the first book, but he's such a talented author and he's such a popular author with good reason. He has really made it easy to transition back into this story. I am terrible at remembering what has happened in books that I've read a year ago, 2 years ago, 2 weeks ago, and I had absolutely no trouble getting into this one. So this has been really, really fun. Now I have 4 other books that I have started and haven't gotten very far in. So the very first book is The Shadow Saint by Gareth Hanrahan. This is the sequel to The Gutter Prayer, which is one of my favorite books of 2019. I absolutely loved it. I read it earlier in the year, I think back in January, and I did a full review, so I'll post that down below if you're interested in seeing it. But this is one of my most highly anticipated books of 2020, and I'm so happy that I have a copy of it on my Kindle. I have started reading it. I'm not very far. I think I'm like, I don't know, maybe 30 pages in or something, and it's so fun so far. This one I'm having a little bit more trouble getting into than something like Starsight because this book is really complicated. The world is complex and the politics are complex and the magic is complex, and it's so good. Next, I have a classic sci-fi book, and I'm so happy to be reading this because I love this author and I love this trilogy. I've just never gotten around to finishing it yet. So I have Robots of Dawn by Isaac Asimov. I absolutely love these books, and I love the Foundation books. I just love Asimov's writing. Some people say he's a little bit dry and maybe a little bit dated, but I still really enjoy him. So if you're looking for classic sci-fi, you should absolutely pick up the first of these books and Foundation because they're so good. But basically these are, think like sci-fi police procedurals because they follow a human detective and his robot partner. And he's very reluctant to be paired up with this robot because he's very prejudiced. It's all explained in kind of society and everything. And they go and solve crimes together, and it's super great. I love these so much. So I am not very far. I'm on page 52 of this book. So like that's basically barely having started. But this is one that I would really like to curl up with at Christmas time because I have really strong associations with Asimov and Christmas because my mom got me a bunch of his books last year for Christmas, I think. It's either last year or the year before. So now he's like wintry and Christmassy in my mind. So this is going to be perfect for December. Next, I have a book that I've been working on for a really long time, and I don't want to DNF because I am enjoying it, but like for some reason my brain is not connecting with this story. So I think I need to take like a Saturday or a Sunday and just sit and read this book. This is Dragon Slayer by Duncan M. Hamilton. This is a review copy I received I think in August or September, and I actually received a copy of the second book from the publisher in November, which you'll see in my book haul video, which is forthcoming. And I really want to read these. They sound great. They're super fun so far, but for some reason when I put the book down, I find it really hard to pick it back up again. I don't know if you've ever had that before, but this is an adult fantasy book, and it's super fun because you have the perspective of the dragon who has woken after 10,000 years and realizes that he is the last of his kind. Humans have hunted his mate and all of his kind to extinction. So he's pissed off and he's running around the countryside, you know, setting everything on fire and eating all the livestock. Then we have the perspective of the sort of layabout, drunken, wastrel lord who is looking after this village, and he was once a very fine swordsman, and for some reason, we don't know why, he kind of left the court in shame, and now he just drinks his days away in this village. His village is of course the one that's being attacked by the dragon, so he's going to have to go to the king and find help, and he's going to have to sort of reform this ancient order of dragon slayers. So this sounds really fun. It's just my brain, I don't know what's going on there. So I think that sometime this weekend, maybe even after I am off of work for the holidays, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna read this because I think it's gonna be super fun. I've heard really good things about it and I want to get into the story. And the last book on my current reads list is another 2020 release. This one comes out in February, I think, 20th of February, according to this. And I believe it's a debut. And it sounds amazing. This looks like so much fun. So this is The Unspoken Name by A.K. Larkwood. This comes out from Tor Books, as I said, in February. And I'm not very far in this. I'm on page 34 and it's teeny tiny type. It's like real small. So I think that this is going to take a lot longer to read than I had initially anticipated, but I do want to get ahead on my 2020 books, and I'd rather have all of that time and read this a little bit more slowly than feel like I'm being rushed or just skipping it in general, because it sounds awesome. Unspoken Name follows a young woman who has basically grown up in a death cult, and she has been selected to be the bride of this god that they worship. When she's 14, she's going to be sacrificed to said god. So on her 14th birthday, she is led in to this place and basically abandoned, and she's going to die and become the bride of this god. And she gets the chance to escape, and she takes that chance real fast. So basically she becomes a wizard's apprentice, she learns to be an assassin, and then many years later this death cult catches up with her. This sounds really, really fun. It sounds really good. I am very much enjoying kind of what little dialogue we've had so far. It's mostly this girl who's sort of in this elevated position within this cult, so no one really speaks to her, no one really interacts with her. It's just her internal thoughts and her doubts about her kind of place in the world. So this is really fun so far. I'm very much looking forward to digging into this a little bit more, but this is probably a little bit lower on my list of priorities simply because it hasn't come out yet and it won't come out until February, but I'm definitely planning on reading this in December. So that is it for my current reads video slash December TBR. As I said at the beginning of this video, I'm gonna fill in the gaps with whatever I decide I want to read. I have some really long books that I've been saving for Christmas, like The Starless Sea or like Wanderers, and I have some 2020 books that I'd really like to get caught up on, because one of my reading resolutions for 2020, which I'll do a whole video on, is going to be being better about arcs and reading things by their publication date, because I'm not necessarily the best at that. So I have a lot of really exciting reading ahead of me, and I cannot wait. I would love in the comments below if you would let me know what you're planning on reading in December, as well as if you've read any of these books or if they're in your TBR as well. I post bookish content to this channel fairly frequently, so go ahead and hit subscribe, check back soon, and I will see you next time.